What's going on, everybody? Haven't posted on this channel in a while, but we're going to get back to posting a bunch of hitting videos for you guys out there. This one's going to be a super densely packed with from top to bottom warm-ups, feels, drills, from top to bottom, a complete, basically, I think it ends up being 14-step guide, different drills, different warm-ups, different feels that I use every single day with all my hitters. Just for the record, I do about 2,000 in-person training lessons a year in my in-person business. I help hitters of all different ages, from little guys all the way up to MLB players. Overall, this is just a lot of the same drills and feels that I get every single player doing and feeling and getting after it. So if this is something you a lot of value with, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, start going through all my other content, and I would love to help you out. Drop any comments down below, but really give this a watch. This is going to be a complete guide to really starting to dial your swing in and starting to understand the ins and outs and the nuances of how I teach hitting and how a lot of my guys are just crushing it and having so much more fun and just blasting doubles all over the place. So like and subscribe, enjoy the video, and we'll see you inside. Have a good one. All right, so this is part of the warm-up. This is how we're gonna do the body fusion feel warm-up. What you're gonna do, you're gonna take both arms, you're gonna take your arms out of the swing, you're gonna put the arms on your top of your shoulders right here on your delts. You're gonna get into your stance. And once we're here, what we're gonna do is get to where our weight is about 80% in the back leg, almost about 20% of the front leg. Notice my heel's up off the ground. And what I'm trying to feel is it's my body and my back hip that's turning me towards the pitcher, right, with that tilt feel. So I'm loading into my back hip. And I'm not gonna stride, I'm not gonna do anything right here. I'm just gonna load into my back hip and then fire my back hip towards the opposite field gap. So I'm just prepping my body to be one fused unit, right? So I'm gonna load into my back hip and fire to the oppo gap. Load in the back hip, fire to the oppo gap. The cue that I want you to feel here is heel up, heel down, right? So you're replacing your heels, right? So your front heel is gonna be up, and then when you drive your knee down and your hip goes up, now you're gonna replace that back heel, right? So heel down, heel up. Notice it's not heel down, then swing, right? We want it to be one fluid motion. Load in the back hip, fire to the oppo gap. Load in the back hip, fire to the oppo gap. Do a couple of those with no stride, and then you can put your stride in if you want, right? Same feeling. When that heel is about to hit, you're launching that back hip to get it to go. Boom, right in there. Fusing up our body, feeling that oppo launch, okay? So that's the really basic, simple body fusion. All right, now we're gonna move on to PVC behind the back. You can do this with a PVC pipe, you can do this with a bat, you can do this. It's basically just the next step higher than the body fusion, but it's the same concept, okay? But now we're actually having something to pull us through, it's mimicking a bat, right? So, but what you'll notice is a lot of people, when they do the PVC stuff, is they'll put it on the front of their body, right? And so they'll put a T here, and then they'll try to say, you know, the coaches will say, like, take the back side of the pipe to the T. And what you'll see a lot of people do is they get in their legs and they turn and they squish. They get a lot of weight into the front leg, and they use this, basically this pec, and they push the pipe forward, right? They're still turning, but they're pushing forward. I didn't use my back muscles. I didn't use my big upper back muscles and my back hip to get this there. All I really did was just turn my torso and rotate my hips, right? I'm getting the same look, but it's a completely different feel. So what we want for this drill is to put this PVC behind the back. You're gonna put basically in your elbow. So now I've taken my arms, it looks kind of funny, but I've taken my arms out of the swing, okay? So once I've gotten to that position, now I'm gonna try to take the back of this pipe to similar, right? Trying to get it to the T, but I'm doing the same feeling that I had in my body fusion. So 80% on the back leg, 20% in the front leg, heel up, and I'm replacing the heels, but I'm using my big back muscles and I'm firing that back hip toward the oppo gap to get the same feeling, okay? So I'm here, boom. Now I'm trying to use my big back muscles. I'm trying to feel where the power is coming from in my swing. My back hip tilting and my big upper back muscles pulling myself through, okay? So here, boom, right? Notice the little tilt, right? I'm just trying to get that feeling of the back hip and the timing of when my launch is happening. It's not down and then go. It's my launch is what's putting my foot on the ground. Here, boom, right into that spot again. Just doing a couple, same feeling, okay? So that's the PVC behind the back. All right, now once I have my big upper back muscles, I have my back hip warmed up, everything's ready to feel, everything's ready to fire. Now I need to warm up my individual wrists, my wrists and my forearms, and actually get myself feeling about how to turn the barrel and just get those muscles activated, get them ready, get them primed, get them ready to go. So all we're gonna do, we're gonna go individual. Again, you can do this with your PVC pipe or you can do it with a bat. You could do it with whatever you like, okay? So individually, what we're gonna do, you're gonna do 5 reps with this. You're gonna take your top hand and it's just gonna be solo hand right now. So all you're gonna do is turn your top hand to the sky. You're just getting that. You're just trying to get 5 of those. And at first you're kind of just going slow, but eventually you wanna try to get this as fast and as explosive as possible. You're trying to put force into this, not into the ball, right? So all we're trying to do is just turn that, trying to get this to parallel, right? Notice I'm not moving my shoulders, I'm not moving my arms. All I'm doing is rotating. I'm just using my wrists right in here, my wrists and my forearms. Okay, so you got 5 or 10 of those. Boom, right in there. Then you're going to switch to solo handed, but now you're going to go bottom hand here, and now it's bottom hand is palm down. Same thing, trying to get it flat and parallel to the ground, trying to put force into the PVC pipe. Okay, now once I've got that, now we can put them together and do the same thing, right? We're trying to get that same action going. Again, notice I'm not dumping my hands, I'm not falling over, I'm just trying to create a little rearward arc that's gonna help me come time to actually swing the bat, okay? So I'm putting force into this object like I'm trying to split it in 2, right? If my bottom hand was pulling this up, my top hand was pulling this back, I'd get a ton of force right in the middle. That's what we're trying to have. We're trying to split the handle in half. Nice relaxed shoulders. Split the handle in half. Nice and easy. Nothing too crazy about this one. We're just warming up our wrists and our forearms. Okay, so that's going to be the PVC pronation supination. Okay. All right. Now, once we get that, I want to start getting this thing going. So this is the PVC helicopter. So what I'm trying to get your body to understand is that this move right here is the same as this move right here when I put my hands up in their ready hitting position. Right. I'm not literally going to go from here, have my barrel straight up and go like this, right? I'm not actually going to be going like this, right? Now when my hands are up here, I'm almost moving it like horizontally, right? Almost like back towards the catcher this way from my loaded position. It's the same feeling. I'm getting the same snapping motion here, the same feeling, but I'm just not going down towards the catcher. I think this is where most people get this wrong, is they see this move, right? They see the hand pivot and then they put it up here and then they go like this with their arms or this forward with their arms. But nope, we're just trying to create a little force here. And so what we're going to do in this one is we're going to try to teach your body how to actually create this horizontal force and get your body to say this is the same as this, which is the same as this, which is the same as this high pitch, right? They're all the same. We're creating this torque in the barrel and the handle, the same way. And we're going to learn how to do that by these PVC helicopters. So we're going to put the PVC over our head like this, and we're going to make this same move here. But the only difference is now my hip takes me to the ball, okay? So I'm making this move and my hip turns me. We put them at the same time. I'm trying to whip that thing around. If my hands come off my head and I push the thing forward, that's not what we want. That is a push. That is a push swing. Not what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a lot of force in this direction. A lot of force in this direction. Same move as this. Just creating it in this direction now, and then my hip is turning me. This is the same feeling we're going to get when we swing, where I'm going to be creating this force, and then my hip is going to turn me. So PVC helicopters over the head, make this move, hip turns me. Okay, do it at the same time. And you're trying to whip that thing as hard as you can. Put as much torque into the pipe. If you also notice, your core is really going to be fired up because you're using that core, that back hip to really rip that barrel through. That's what you want to feel in your swing. We don't want our arms to be tired. We don't want to be pushing through, driving our knees all the way down. We want to be using the big muscles the right way. So that's the PVC helicopter, okay? Over here, we're going to have a band or a J band or any sort of type of band that you can find. Just hook that thing up to, a pole, a post, something at home, whatever you can do. And now we're going to be having some resistance here to help us with that turn, right? Remember, we're trying trying to get the barrel in the zone, right? We're supinating as we launch. It's not two moves. It's not here and then drag the thing through. My back hip is firing as I'm turning it upward. I'm creating a really good tight move. And so that's what we're trying to feel with this resistance here. Okay, we want this, we want to grab our band, get to our spot, have a little bit of resistance, and now we're turning, we're supinating, getting to our launch position. Notice I'm not loading and then going. I'm getting to a good spot to launch from and just adding a little bit of resistance to warm me up. Same thing. Now I'm going to take, that was supination, palm turning up. Now we want pronation, which is palm turning down. So same thing. Now I got my stretch. I'm just literally doing that move right there. I'm just trying to add a little bit of resistance, fire the core. Notice my heels, same thing. Where's my weight? And I'm shifting my weight when I launch. Shift my weight when I launch. Turning them over. I'm just combining my segments, okay? Notice it doesn't take a lot to get loose, but priming your body for the movement that you want it to do is crucial if you want your swing to actually be able to perform on autopilot. You have to repeat the movements that you want or it'll never happen. If you only ever practice the hand pivot, if you only ever practice these little moves, when you're trying to hit a baseball when it's coming, it's not going to happen as fast. If you can really get down and really handle the warm-up portion of the drills, your body will be primed, your mind will be primed, everything will be ready for you to get your best swing off. Okay, so keep that in mind as we move on to the next one. All right, last thing we're going to do before we actually start hitting some balls, and all these warm-up things, they should literally take you no more than 5 minutes tops, right? Once you get these down, you grab your PVC, do your couple body fusions, 5 minutes, your body is primed and ready to go, right? We want to warm up to hit, not hit to warm up, right? We want to find our feelings. We want to be able to get our body in the right place, see how it's feeling for that day before we actually start hitting, okay? So last but not least, we're going to try to prime our body to load properly, right? So what we're going to do is now we're going to move this up a little bit more, kind of even with our shoulders. Now what we're going to do, we're going to step out. We're going to use the band pulling us this way as helping us load, right? So we're going to get to almost our max stretch, just our top hand, and we're going to feel like, because we literally have the band pulling us this way. So the band is pulling us this way, and that's what we want. We want to let it do its thing. We want to feel ourselves, our body going this way, our head staying over our back leg, but us getting the stretch away from the center of my body. We want these equal opposite forces. We want a stretch in the rearward direction, and we want to try to go forward. But at the same time, I'm keeping my head over my back leg. So it'll look, if I went forward and forward, it would look like this. Right? I want it to be, and if it was back and back and I didn't go forward, you'd see this. That's not what I'm looking, because look, I lose the tension in the band when I do that. In order to keep the tension in the band, I need to be going equal and opposite. Notice when I go forward, I'm keeping the tension in the band. That's the tension in my upper scap. If I go back this way, I lose the tension. If I go this way, I bring too much forward. I'm going to lose tension. Keeping my head right in the center, I'm going to let the band take me back, but I'm going to keep my head right inside my front foot. Right? I'm getting that stretch. Getting that stretch. Okay, so that's the top hand. Now, same thing with the bottom hand. We're going to let this stretch me. You should feel a nice stretch right through here. Same thing, same feeling. We don't want to be back and back and lose the tension. We don't want to be diving and ripping. We want it to just let us a nice little stretch. Boom, right in there. Boom, right in there. Now, if you want, you can put both hands on. Same thing. Boom, feel that stretch. Feel that band doing its job, okay? Last thing we want to do, if you have a band like this, if you have a J band, it'll be a little bit more tricky. But what you want to do is line this band up with your knee height, right inside your knee. You're going to step out and you're going to feel the same thing, right? When I pick my foot up, I want to let the band kind of pull my knee this way, right? We don't want to be collapsing early. We don't want to get stuck back here, right? Head inside. We're going to let the band feel us pulling us back. Nice and easy. Pulling us back. Keep that resistance. Keep that tension. Notice I'm landing nice and soft. When I land, I'm not shifting my weight forward, right? I'm not landing 50-50. I'm not getting all the way down there, right? That's one and then two. We don't want that. We want it to be one. I'm keeping the tension. Fire, right? That's what I'm trying to feel. Pull me back, fire. Pull me back, fire, okay? So you're going to do a couple of those. You're gonna get the bands pulling us in that rearward direction while we're trying to work in the opposite forward direction, all while keeping our head right inside our knee. We get that feeling down, now go no band, and it should feel nice and easy to control that forward move. Nice and easy, okay? So now that we're primed, we feel what we need to feel, our body's feeling good, we're loaded, we're loose, now we can start getting ready to hit some balls. All right, so now that we're actually going to be hitting baseballs, right? Our body's primed, we're ready to go. We want to make sure we have the right mindset, right? When we're hitting off the tee, we want to make sure that we're not just in there to swing, right? We're trying to accomplish something, right? So one thing I always say is we're always trying to hit, when we're off the tee doing drills, every single thing you're trying to hit is right up the middle or to the top oppo gap corner of the cage. That's your target. The pull side gap, obviously when you're a beginner and you're learning and you're trying new stuff, you're gonna roll over balls, you're gonna hook balls, it's okay. But your goal should never be to be pulling balls off the tee when you're working on your swing. We should be working on perfect deep contact right up the middle and slightly oppo, right? That's the money zone. That's where we want to be living. So I just wanted to preface that before we get going. So just a reminder, middle the other way and not like totally oppo, right? We're not trying to fillet balls, right? We're trying to drive balls right over like if I'm a lefty, I'm trying to hit balls right at the pitcher and over the shortstop's head, and righties are trying to go over the pitcher, over the second baseman's head. That's your power zone off the tee and off flips and during BP. That's where we're trying to drive every ball is right through that gap, okay? So just wanted to preface that before we actually get swinging. First drill we're gonna talk about here is the half bat or half swing drills. Or stop at contact, right? Whichever way you want to say it. So stop at contact. Why we're stopping at contact? Because you can't get away with anything. Okay. So if I'm in my spot and I'm doing a half swing, and I get to my spot and I don't get to a good hitting position, and I want to push down at this ball and create force and try to hit into this ball, right? I'm literally trying to apply my force right into this object. Where's the ball going to go? If I stop at contact and I'm trying to apply force into the ball, watch this. It's going to go down. It's going to go right into the ground, right where it goes. It's going to be so hard to get this ball to actually go where we want it to. It's just going to dribble off, or it's just going to roll up the middle, right? And what a lot of times guys will do is, because they need the extra lift through and they're trying to push the barrel through, you'll see when guys will do this drill initially, they'll get here and they'll go, and they'll have to stop. They'll have to go all the way through the ball to try to get some lift on it to get the ball to go where they want it to go. But if we apply our force, which is what we just warmed up, think about the body fusion drill. If we apply our force back here, we can create a really fast, really powerful barrel that runs into the ball. So that way when we do make contact, we actually have a lot behind it. So in this drill, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to imagine we're hitting line drives out of the infield. We're trying to hit balls out of the infield with half a swing. If you think I'm crazy, just wait. Wait till you get the right feeling down, and your world will change, because you won't even really try to hit the ball. All we're focusing on is how fast can I launch this thing? Can I turn my barrel here and fire my back hip at the same time? When I do that from a max stretch position, I can actually get really good hard line drives up the middle, okay? Notice the trajectory. Watch the difference. This is the bad one. I hit it hard, but where did it go? Straight down. If I want this to be a nice clean double in the gap, watch where I'm applying force. I'm splitting the barrel and I'm turning my back hip, and I'm trying to get these two segments working at the same time. Back here, okay? So I load up. Whenever I want to fire it, I make that move, and I get a nice clean line drive right up the middle, okay? And so I'm going to show you what this looks like from the back view. Like I said, now we're going to go, it's a little bit more challenging. This is going to be stop swings with a full bat. This is going to be very difficult. It's hard to do, but once you get it, you start to understand how much force you can actually create when you let the barrel of the bat follow behind you, and then your back hip and your body catches it to make that strong turn. It feels like butter. It feels like it's exactly what's supposed to happen when you swing the bat, and it should look like this. So you're gonna wind up, get to your max stretch, heel down, heel up, 80-20. Boom, make that tilt move. Let the barrel come through. Here we go. Nice clean line drive all day, every day. And I didn't even finish my swing. I stopped right here. Imagine how much more power I would have with that ball coming in and I actually snap and finish my swing all the way through and run into it somewhere along that arc. It's going to be a bomb. Okay. So that's going to be full swing, or excuse me, full bat, half stops or half swings. Full bat, half swings. Now we're on to the next one. If you're still here at this point in the video and you're loving it and you're getting a ton of value from it and you're like, man, what else could this guy do for me? I'm learning so much. There's a link down in the description that takes you to my private training app where I can coach you from any part of the world. It's super easy. Click the link, purchase a lesson, send me your swing, and we start working together. I'll send you back custom feedback, drill of myself breaking down your swing. It's super, super fun, super awesome, and super easy to start learning and getting better. So like I said, if this is piquing your interest and you love it, check out the link in the description. All right, enough of me, get back to the video. All right, so in this drill video, we're gonna talk about launch position, max stretch, peak tension, whatever you wanna call it, and why this is so important to train from this position, okay? So many people never truly get to their peak stretch. They never truly know where their best hitting position is. And until we know where that is, we're always gonna be fighting for the perfect hitting position, right? And so how you know you're at the perfect hitting position and your peak stretch is when you get set up and someone yells the word go, you can pull the trigger right away, instantly, right? You don't have to shift any weight back. You don't have to pick your foot up. You don't have to load extra of your hands. If I say go and you're adding a little bit extra here, that means you weren't at peak tension. So when you're at peak tension, it'll look like this. So I get to my stance. I want to find that perfect launch position for me. It's right about here. And I know that if on cue, on command, I could fire my back hip, launch the barrel whenever I need to, and life is going to be good. So again, here I am. Find my peak stretch, weight out of my heel, weight's in my back hip. I'm already preset everything ready to go. And then whenever I want to swing, I can. Go. Okay, so notice when I get there, I'm not adding anything extra. I'm not adding go and adding extra. I'm not adding an extra arm movement. If I'm not in my peak tension, I'm going to have to move and get to my peak tension before I swing. And that's what a lot of people do in their normal swing, right? They're in their stance. Here comes the pitch. They pick their leg up, and then they add extra right at the end. And no wonder they're losing their barrel. They're mishitting a lot of balls. They're topping a lot of balls because they're never truly at that peak stretch. We want to be there so we know in our normal stance, we can get to peak tension. We know exactly where that is, and we can hold that as we go forward. So it's important that we have to train peak tension. You have to get to your launch position as you're starting the day, because it might change slightly from day to day. So you have to train from there and get there. You don't have to do a ton of swings from there, but you want to make sure that you have it locked in place. You can take about 5 or so swings where you're really locked in, hammering balls up the middle from no momentum, from an instant launch position like this. So I find my spot, I get set up, I find my launch position, and whenever I want to swing, I can. Really good, really clean. You see how smooth and simple that is. Reason that's so important is that's the position I'm trying to get into in my back hip and in my upper body. Once I pick my foot up, I'm trying to get to there at pitch or pitch release. Boom. And so I'm not moving as I'm going forward. I'm at peak tension, and now my eyes, all they have to do is see the ball and swing. See the ball and swing. It's not see the ball, load, hopefully get there, and then swing, right? It's see the ball and swing. See the ball and swing. So again, I train at my launch position to look like this. Smooth, right? No extra movement. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to add my stride, add a little bit of rhythm, just like I would in the game. Here's my pause. Okay, and I've got my rhythm. Now I find my little pause, and let it rip. Launch position and go. Okay, so that's how important the launch position is, and that's how you do the launch position drill. find your peak tension, swing with no momentum. If you're adding extra, then you're not at your peak stretch. So get to the position, find that position where you're at peak stretch, and train from there before moving on. Talk about the open 45 drill and why it's such an important drill to have in your routine. It's a great drill to help work on our direction, right? When we're open, when we take this foot out, we're standing at 45 degrees, our natural instinct is for our front foot to drop and us to pull the barrel across the zone. We're trying to counteract that and fire our back hip towards the direction we want to go, almost feeling like our back hip is working up underneath us, almost as if like a boxer was throwing an uppercut punch, or if you're a shortstop and you're doing a drop step where you kind of open your hip up towards the sky to do that little drop step turn. That's the same feeling we want in this swing. Okay, that move and this drill is going to help with two things. It's going to help with our tilt and our direction. And I guess a third thing would be getting the barrel on plane, right? We're trying to send our swing up the middle, right? We're always trying to work on our side bend, having good posture, and resisting straight rotating and pushing the barrel down and across. Okay, so we want to coil up into our back hip. So I want our butt cheek to go around. The weight's going to be more in our heel, and then we're feeling like we're doing that up to the oppo infielder. So for me, I'm trying to fire my back hip at the shortstop. For righties, trying to fire your back hip at the second baseman. You're letting the barrel fall, that top hand supinate and turn over, and you're going to try to hammer line drives right up the middle. Okay, so it'll look like this. 45 degrees. Find that launch position. And fire it right up the middle. Notice I didn't have a lot of weight in my front foot pulling me down and across. I didn't shift my weight into my front foot first. I stayed in my backside and I fired from my backside. When I do that, it truly allows me to feel how my back leg should work when I swing. And then when I go to my normal swing, I want to have that same feeling like my back hip is firing up towards the oppo gap to start. Boom, boom, boom. Same feeling, right? So this is the feeling we want to get it to create it, and then we want to be able to ride that barrel out and stay through it, just nice and easy, nice and clean. So now that we have our tilt down, right? We have our tilt, we still have our suddenness, we have all the moves down, we have the drills down that we need to get. Now we're going to move on to our control, right? So we're actually going to learn how to control our forward move and blend all of those feels together, right? Because still, a big piece of the swing is the forward move. If you don't go forward, you will get stuck, and when you tilt, you'll spin off and top spin everything. You have to be able to control the forward move. You're keeping the tension back here as you're going forward. If you get stuck, you'll spin out every single time. So you have to be able to go forward and make that move, and that's where the magic happens. So without further ado, the first drill we're going to go over is the Flamingo drill. I'm sure you've seen it a ton. All we're going to do is balance on one leg. You're going to get to where your back hip feels nice and loaded up. A good way to know if you're in that position is you're going to do like a single leg RDL. So you balance on one leg, slight bend in the knee, and your butt's going to shoot back like you're going to go all the way down to do a single leg RDL. Go about a quarter of the way in, and that's where your back hip is really primed to be in its best loaded position, okay? So what I'm going to try to do is find that position, right, where I'm loaded up, I'm balanced, and I'm going to hold that feeling in my back hip the entire time I go forward. Hold, 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 hold. And at the last second, right when my foot hits the ground, that's when I'm releasing it. That's how long I want to be able to hold that back hip tension, okay? So done properly, it'll look like this. Okay, nice and easy, nice barrel. The thing that most people do wrong in this one is they set up way too far behind the tee because they think they don't have the space. So they get here and they fall forward and they have a nice barrel, but notice my whole backside slid out of it. Let me show you. Let me show you one where it's done incorrectly. So I'm way too far behind the tee. I think I don't have the space, and I'm going to fall forward and kind of just crash into that. Notice I lose space, I lose all my tension, and it turns right away into a push. Even though I set myself up for success, I still fell forward and slid. And this is what happens to most people in the games. They think they're ready, they think they're loaded, and the ball comes at them, and they slide forward. So what we're trying to do with the Flamingo drill is we're trying to keep our head inside of our back foot as we stretch. Okay, head inside the back foot, boom, and then fire, rather than falling and going that way, okay? One thing I want you to notice is how close I am set up to this ball. My back foot is in line with the back tip of the plate, and if I just step out normally, look, now I'm in line with the ball here. Most people think this would be not enough space, but remember, if I'm stretching properly, all the space I need to get my swing off is back here. So when I do the Flamingo drill, when I do any swing in particular, I want to make sure that I'm challenging myself to stay behind the ball, okay? I don't need a whole lot of space to get my best swing off. So let's do one more good one. Find my little quarter RDL, find my upper body tension, I'm ready to go. Stretching, head inside. Nice base hit to center field. Okay, so that's the Flamingo drill. We'll move on to the next one. All right, so now we're going to explain the step back drill. This is a very common drill that you see on the internet. You'll see it all over the place, but I would say the vast majority of people do the step back wrong. Okay, the majority of people that I see do this drill, they step into their backside, they load all their weight into their knees and quads. They're not even in their back hip. So they load into there to feel like they're getting in their legs. And the moment they pick this foot off the ground, they dive forward. And so off the tee, it's fine. Right off the tee, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I feel my back leg, I feel good. And then the very moment that we try to do the drill off of flips or a moving pitch, they end up diving, they get to the game, and maybe this is you get to the game and you're still diving forward, even though you've been working on getting into your back hip, right? Loading into that back leg, getting into your legs, whatever your other coaches have told you how to do, right? Think about what we just did in the Flamingo drill. Would it make sense to go down and forward? No, that's why we're doing these drills properly, right? We're having our hinge and we're working on how to stretch and hold that tension, as we go forward. So it's going to be the exact same thing. Now we're just adding a little bit of movement. Okay, so I'm still finding my little quarter RDL. Now I just have both feet on the ground. I'm going to step back into my heel, step back into the heel, and when I pick my foot up, I'm stretching against it. I'm not using that momentum to dive forward, okay? Again, most people do this drill. They stand too far back, they step back, and they got in their legs, right? They got back and they push forward, and it was like, oh, great swing. And then they're still having problems in the game diving forward. So what I want to see is making sure that when we step back, we're really close to the tee, like I'll show you. So what I want you to start off with is your front foot is actually in line with the ball, okay? I'm in line with the ball. So what I'm going to do is take a baby step back to where now my back foot is in line with the very back of the plate, which is what we did in the last drill. Same thing. Now I'm just teaching myself how to create the space by getting back here. All the space you need is behind the ball, right? If you're diving forward, you're going to run out of space. So these are really good drills when done properly. Okay, so if the step back is actually going to be done like this, front foot in line with the tee, get my little quarter hinge, stepping back, create my space, and now I'm feeling myself using the momentum. Oh, there's my back hip. There's my back hip, rather than knees and forward. We'll do one more. This one's going to be done improperly. We'll do one more bad one and one more good one. So here's a bad one. I'm too far behind the plate. I'm too far behind the tee. I dive into my knees and I jump forward. Again, notice if you go back and slow them down, the result was pretty dang good. But if you watch how I got there, it was knees, dive, slide, and push. All of that can take place when the ball's not moving. If I'm trying to do that in the game, I'm not going to be very consistent. I'm going to have a ton of timing issues. I'm going to have a ton of issues with my swing. I'm not going to feel like I'm in my legs. I'm going to take a lot of pitches. I need to have complete control of my swing. So what I want it to look like is this. Okay, now my foot is closer to the tee. I'm basically in line. I'm going to step back. I get to my max stretch. Step back. If you go back and slow those down, you'll notice it's a world of difference in my control and how my body is set up to get there. So make sure you're doing your step backs properly. All right, so now that we have our flamingo, we have our control, our slow control, fall forward. We have our step backs, which is adding a little bit of momentum. Now we're going to add a ton of forward momentum, and your job is going to be able to keep everything back. So these are going to be happy Gilmores. You'll notice the moral or the reoccurring theme with this is when we're doing any of these drills, you've probably seen them before, but you've never actually done them properly. What do most people do in Happy Gilmore, right? You're warming up, you're here, you're stepping forward, you have a big forward move and you're falling, you're crashing, and you're pushing. Again, you can create a ton of bat speed, create a ton of whip on this drill off the tee, shoot even on flips, but it's never really done properly. The point of these drills is to resist the forward move. You're trying to keep everything back as you go forward, right? It's so easy in this Happy Gilmore to step and fall forward. Look, I'm already out of my back leg. I want you to have the momentum, and then your job is to stop it and control it like this. And control the forward move. So I'm here, boom, and I'm controlling my fall, which is going to be very similar to what you're going to do in your normal swing, right? We get on our backside, we're controlling, boom. So notice we're building up, we're blending these feels into our swing. And so a bad one, I'll show you a bad one right now, is where I'm going to start back here. I'm going to start too far back. Hope you can see me. I'm going to start too far back, and I'm just going to dive forward and crash. This is what most people do on this drill. I'm back here, dive forward and crash, and this is what I want it to look like. I'm going to start a little bit closer to the tee, right? Because I want to resist the forward fall. I want to make sure my stretch is back here. Okay, so now I take my step in towards the plate, and I finish my swing with that nice, slow, controlled. One more. I'm resisting the forward move. I'm trying to pull myself back. I'm going to try to force myself to go forward, but then also pull myself back, right? I'm trying to create that tension that we created on the band in the early part of the warm-up. So I'm here. I'm going to stretch nice and controlled. Forward, right up the middle, right? So I have my tilt, I have my rear leg, I have my control. Now my swing is feeling ready for regular game swings. And so now what we're going to do is get those going, right? So now you're going to go over to normal swings. You should be good to go. So last but not least, we're going to go into regular swings. Now, this is where the magic starts to happen, right? Because you've now felt all of those things. You felt the snap, you felt you felt your barrel turning, you've got your tilt down, you've segmented each part of the swing to now be able to blend all into one. Remember, the drills are drills. They're to get your body and your brain in the right frame of mind. They're not used to be like the exact things you need to do when you get to the box, right? When you get to the box, I don't need you setting up open and trying to think like this aggressive tilt. Remember, the drills are there to help get your body into that muscle memory. When I hit and I'm going to my normal swing, I'm not thinking about like every single thing that I've done in my prep work. My prep work has prepared me to get in the box and do what I need to do and let my swing happen naturally. And that's something I want to make sure you guys are focused on too, is when you get to the box and you get to the plate, find whatever cue works best for you. Because if you think too much about everything, if you're trying to think of every little piece, it's going to mess you up. And so try to keep it as simple as possible. For me, when I get in the box, I don't think about my hand pivot. I don't think about anything upper body wise. The only thing I think about is stretching and like holding the back hip as long as possible, and how hard can I fire that to the shortstop. That's it. All I'm thinking about here is how hard can I fire my back hip to the shortstop. So I get to my normal stance, fire that back hip. Nice and simple. Now, did my hands pivot? Yeah. Did I tilt? Yes. All the things that we just worked on happened in my swing because I've taught it to do that. I have found what works best for me. And the only way you can find those little cues is by getting in the cage and doing the work for yourself. No one's going to be able to do it for you. You have to be able to get in there and figure out where your best handset is. Figure out where it is that you need to stand, what stance you need. Do you need a leg kick? Do you need a nose stride? All of those things you have to figure out for yourself. But when it comes to the box for your normal game swings, figure out exactly what one maybe 2 things that you got to be able to have in your brain. One is usually better. Try to find one thing that you can do in the box when you're working on your swing, game swings. Like, okay, when things go bad, I'm not thinking about this. When things are good, all I'm thinking is explode the back hip, or turn the barrel to the catcher, or hit a home run to center, or whatever that cue is. Find one, write it down, stick with it. Hopefully you guys got a lot of info and a lot. You're going to use this drill routine to lock into swing. And one other thing I want to say is there's a lot of fluff out there about doing all these drills, and all these drills are going to make you the best hitter. You should be able to lock in one routine. That's why in this whole thing, I only have one routine that I'm showing you guys. Yes, there are a zillion different drills. And once you're inside here and you're in the community, if you're doing some of these drills and they're not working for you, I can personally give you other ones. But for the bulk of the population, for the majority of you guys, if you get a version of these drills down and make that your routine, you will be head and shoulders above all of your teammates, and you will actually start to see your swing improve mechanically. Overall, like I said, have a very simple routine that you can repeat over and over and over and over again. And you can do all of these drills that you just saw off the tee. You can do them on flips. When you're ready for it, do them on flips, because now you're doing them against a moving pitch, right? So start on flips, start on tee, then go to flips, then do your normal swing and all that stuff. Keep getting better and keep learning. See you in the next one.